Kneecap are the roughest, toughest Irish boy band since Jedward, probably, and they're in trouble for imploring their fans to kill politicians.
They're Tories. The only good Tory is a dead Tory. Kill your MP.
And for celebrating Islamic terror organisations. They get their audiences to chant "Ooh ah Hezbollah" as if they're supporting a football player instead of a terror group that's dedicated to the eradication of Jews. And now, Kneecap are being dropped from festivals and counter-terror police are investigating them, and these big brave boys are frantically backpedaling, saying they didn't say the things they obviously said. Our message has always been one of love, inclusion and hope. As in, I love the idea of you being included in an Islamic terror attack and I hope you die. What an apology. Great to see Kneecap keeping alive the IRA tradition of rubbing themselves in their own feces. Even Uri Geller, the famous spoonbender, I did say spoon, wants them locked up. Here they are, MC Fetal Alcohol Syndrome, Car Wash Albanian, and DJ wears a tea cozy because he's too old to be hanging around with these kids. I'm going to show how they're total phonies, they're Ponzi theatre kids cosplaying as terrorists who, far from being anti-establishment, are applauded by the British state broadcaster and are funded by £1.6 million from the British government. Oh, superb use of taxpayers' money, by the way. It's great to see that Britain is so rich the government can afford to spunk millions up the wall on terrible Irish pop groups who hate us. But as I'll show, the Irish Republican movement are also phonies and have abandoned Irish nationalism. In the 80s they said Ireland for the Irish. Now Sinn Féin want open borders and might as well have the slogan Ireland for the Mogadishuans. They don't represent Irish people anymore. They stand for the globalist left-wing establishment that wants to break down the nation state and make everywhere a borderless economic zone. And I'll explain why these Kneecap fannies shouldn't be cancelled and the deeper problem they reveal on the left that will destroy Western liberal democracy. Anyway, Kneecap named themselves after the Irish paramilitary punishment of kneecapping. With a low-level civil war going on, regular community policing wasn't possible as the policemen would be targets, so the paramilitary squads were left to deal with criminals like drug dealers, but being paramilitary squads, they didn't have the capacity for much of a justice system, so instead they just stuck to their core strengths and shot criminals in the kneecap. The band say they gave themselves this name because they're talking about things that would get us kneecapped, except they're not. They're saying things that get them on state television and get applauded by establishment media. The cringiest thing about Kneecap is that they think they're anti-establishment for spouting the same dullard opinions as Gary Lineker, the BBC, and every 14-year-old white girl on Instagram. They just went a bit too far and directly called for violence against politicians. Liam Gallagher said Kneecap are a bunch of squares in knitted face thongs, and as always, Liam Gallagher is 100% correct. Anti-establishment, here they are accepting a BAFTA award for the most colourful tea cosy. Yeah, look at this fun with the Irish flag balaclava on his head. You know, he had to commission someone to knit this. He had to sit down and discuss crochet patterns with a woman. I mean, he's not exactly Easy-E, is he? This guy is a 35-year-old former teacher. Only a BBC producer would think this guy is the authentic urban Irish underclass. The film they won the BAFTA award for isn't anti-establishment, by the way. It was funded by the British government, who gave them £1.6 million of British people's taxes to make it. £1.6 million. It really makes you think, given that the fact that Kneecap are in the pocket of the British government and they're lauded by the BBC, are Kneecap just a psyop to make the IRA look soft? Kneecap also sued the British government to give them more money and then acted like they'd ram-raided Buckingham Palace. We took £14,250 from the King's stash. Oh yeah, did you break a nail filing the paperwork, princess? Did you get a paper cut on your Arts Council funding form? They're a bunch of frauds. Mogwai's father wasn't a militant, he was a playwright and journalist who made shows for the BBC, and they would fit in at the BBC now. They exhorted exhorted people to kill Tories and chanted support for Islamist militant groups Hamas and Hezbollah, and it's a credible incitement to murder. A couple of years ago, Tory MP David Amess was slaughtered by an Islamist, Ali Harbi Ali, while he was presumably taking a break from appearing on the label of a jam jar in the 1970s. It's a credible incitement to violence, and we've seen people locked up for far less, but I'm pretty sure Kneecap are safe. Nothing will happen. We have a two-tier justice system where the law is only applied against certain people. So Lucy Connolly gets 2.5 years in jail for tweeting when she's furious that little girls have been stabbed to death, but Kneecap are part of the establishment. They'll get nothing. This is a public relations stunt for them. They're already thanking the government for the free publicity. Kneecap are so desperate to appear persecuted, they even seem to be making stuff up. They claimed that police in Belfast shut down their merch stand because it had controversial stuff on it. The police said they didn't care, and in a rare moment for British policing, said they were going to deal with actual crimes instead. Kneecap want this controversy. All the Instagram Henriettas and Tarquins with watermelon emojis are going to think it's all terrifically exciting, and all the establishment pop stars, people like Pulp, Paul Weller and Primal Scream, are trying to get a bit of the sexy controversy on them by making statements of support. Kneecap are so woke. They say they want to promote Irish culture, but they project an image of Irish culture that's straight from the mind of the most prejudiced Englishman, slobbing around drinking, smoking, taking drugs and being a waster. How many tracksuits have they got? I know authentic scumbags and they wear the same togs every day. These guys have more costume changes than Mariah Carey. They have all the lingo of wokeism as well, talking about generational trauma. Oh, nice one, boys. Pick up your gender studies PhD on the way out. And they talk about colonialism, but they've appropriated black culture for their own music. And they talk about minorities, but where are the black faces at their shows? They remind me of Rage Against the Machine, or as they should be called, Rage in the Same Direction as the Machine. It's all $60 Che Guevara shirts for sale in the merch stand and telling us to get vaxxed and boosted. Kneecap wallow in a cosy, fake nostalgia. They glorify the death of Maggie Thatcher.
I want to say one last thing. Maggie's in a box, in a box. Maggie's in a box. Na 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 na. Maggie's in a box, in a box. Maggie's in a box.
Man, she's been dead for more than a decade, and she left office 35 years ago. They also rage against the Royal Ulster Constabulary, which was disbanded in 2001. I mean, if you're going to go back that far, why not go all the way back to when the Middle East was Christian and Jewish and talk about who's really doing the colonising? It's all carefully crafted and managed to sell records to Instagram dunces. Look at them on top of a British police van. Somebody bought that van and painted it like a police van. Kneecap performed at an event called Coachella. It's all junior PR Karens with Palestinian flag emojis who think anti-Semitism is the new BLM, paying $27 for a raspberry gin spritz. And for all the talk of colonialism and settlers and indigenous rights, Coachella is held on stolen land. The festival grounds are situated on the traditional territory of the Cahuilla people, a Native American tribe. Oh, so it's alright when you lot do it, and Kneecap don't like borders. Oh, so you'll be cancelling appearances at any festivals with border fences, will you? Like these ones around Glastonbury that you're booked to appear at. I mean, you wouldn't want to disenfranchise impoverished minorities who can't afford a ticket, would you? Glastonbury says it was set up to inspire respect for each other. It wants an inclusive and accepting world. Discrimination is not tolerated. Glastonbury should really add, unless you're Jewish, to the end of that. Unusually for musicians, Kneecap don't seem to like people who go to music festivals. Just 18 months ago, 378 young people were raped, shot and butchered by a racist Palestinian militia at the Nova Festival in Israel. Instead of showing compassion for them, Kneecap celebrate their killers. I'm sure the kids at the Nova Music Festival would love to live in peace and harmony with Palestinians, but history has shown that that isn't going to happen. Kneecap are always showing solidarity with the Palestinian struggle and crying about Hamas getting bombed and calling it a genocide. Israelis aren't very good at genocide, by the way. It's the only genocide in history where the population of the people being genocided has actually increased hugely instead of going down. What's happening in Gaza isn't genocide, it's the around and find out world championships. Kneecap posed with this Hezbollah book, or anti-Semitism for dummies as it should be called. Look at what Hezbollah say. Every man, young and old, loves to blow himself up to tear apart the bodies of the invading, occupying Jews. Seems very reasonable. And how did Hezbollah treat Irish people? Well, Irish fella Brian Keenan was snatched off the streets by Islamists who kept him hostage for 5 years in cruel, inhumane conditions in Lebanon. Ironically, the venomous anti-Semitism of people on the left shows exactly why Israel needs to exist. I mean, look at the words of BBC reporter Samar El-Zainin. He says, "We'll burn the Jews like Hitler did, and shoot the Jews, it fixes everything." I mean, I guess it's lucky he works for the BBC instead of QuickFit. Why have Kneecap got such a boner for Palestine in the first place? They reckon there's a shared history. The IRA were linked to the Palestine Liberation Organisation 50 years ago, but today's Irish Republican movement itself has been usurped by one world government communists who are importing the third world to Ireland hand over fist. Sinn Féin were the political wing of the IRA, although they deny it, and Sinn Féin's leader, Gerry Adams, has a cameo in Kneecap's government-funded film. The mantra for Sinn Féin used to be Ireland for the Irish and Brits out. Now it might as well be Ireland for anyone and Somalians in, as Ireland accepts more migrants per head than even Britain. This wave of immigration has caused huge social upheaval among the working class communities it's dumped on. It's such an obvious threat to Ireland that it's managed to unite the genuine Irish Republicans and British loyalists. These are the people who spent decades shooting at each other and hated each other and have now incredibly found themselves allies in the face of a bigger threat, mass immigration from alien cultures. And Sinn Féin, formerly the head of the Irish Republican movement, are seen as traitors now. Not that Kneecap have any affinity with the Irish working class nationalists either. One of the Kneecap guys said, "They're turning their anger at the wrong people. A state that starved communities of funding should be the target. They should be aiming up and not at these immigrants. It's not long ago that the Irish were treated the exact same way whenever we went to England and other places around the world. People have a short memory." Also, because some Irish people left to go to the culturally similar place next door, the Irish people who stayed behind in Ireland should be forced to accept infinity medieval child raping hill tribes. And Kneecap chant Brits out at their shows, but British people have been in Ireland for millennia, but we should get thrown out. How come being anti-immigration is fine when it's British people? And Kneecap posts deconstructionist quotes by Shane McGowan. People are talking about immigration, emigration, and the rest of the thing. It's all effing crap. We're all human beings. We're all mammals. We're all rocks, plants, rivers. Effing borders are just such a pain in the effing arse. Yeah, society, community, ancestry, heritage, culture, none of these things exist. We're all just human beings, all interchangeable cogs to be moved around the world by elites to generate the maximum GDP. Kneecap say they want to preserve Irish culture, but mass immigration combined with the subjugation of native culture could wipe it out. Ironically, Shane McGowan was also a posh phony. He was born in Kent in England and grew up in leafy Tunbridge Wells and had a very expensive education at private schools in England, far from the gasworks gutters in Dublin, and only managed to get his authentically scuzzy mouth by taking lots of drugs and brushing his teeth with Nutella. His father was an executive at CNA. Not that there's anything wrong with being a posh Englishman, but don't be ashamed of it. Also, Shane gets a pass because his music was brilliant, but Kneecap shouldn't be cancelled though. For a start, it won't work. All it does is give them a frisson of authentic controversy and boosts their sales. Kneecap believe what they're saying is true, and you don't change someone's mind by banning them. It won't make their ideas go away, it'll light a fire underneath them. But mainly, cancelling them is bad because ideas should be allowed to be spoken. I had a tour cancelled in 2022 because I was saying apparently horrifically bigoted transphobic things. Then a couple of years later it turns out that the Supreme Court agrees with me and the horrible bigoted things I was saying were just common sense. If Kneecap get cancelled, it'll just encourage the cancellation of people like Andrew Lawrence or me, and people should be allowed to make a living. That old guy in Kneecap probably needs to top up his teacher's pension. If there's a market for them, let them sell their stuff. But also look at why there's a market for their stuff. If you want to deal with these ideas, look where they come from. People say Kneecap are anti-Semitic for focusing on Israel, while other countries in that region do far worse with far less justification. But I don't believe Kneecap's main motivation is anti-Semitism. It's because they're anti-civilizational. Israel is the one sliver of Western liberal democracy, of modernity, in a region of medieval barbarism. The idea that Israel is a horrible colonial settler state of Europeans is rooted in the anti-white, anti-Western rhetoric taught as fact in schools and universities as critical race theory. The same government that condemns Kneecap sends its own staff on training courses to learn how to abolish whiteness and decolonize. This is the communist poison behind Kneecap's attitudes. If you want Israel to have a future, if you want the West to have a future, then deal with it. Because if you don't, when the next generation are running things, we'll see Britain arming Hamas and arming Hezbollah, and we'll see an Islamic revolution in Britain like there was in Iran in 1979. Anyway, if you want to support me making these videos, then sign up to my Patreon. I don't get any British government funding or get to perform at any Ponzi festivals because I'm actually not part of the establishment. And it's not just about me having money, which is great. I love having money. It's about having a community of Patreons behind me that keeps me motivated to make more videos. Anyway, thanks for listening. I've been Leo Kears. Bye. Bye bye.